Now recently, on episodes of the Cask 88 Lock-In, we've been visiting a lot of younger distilleries. I just can't help myself. There's something about the excited and dashing young entrepreneurs who are starting up these new places to make whiskey all over Scotland. But before you accuse me of bias, I do know that the Scotch whisky industry is old as balls. Some distilleries have been making whiskey for close to or even over 200 years. And though I may get excited by the younger startups, well, I have to acknowledge that there have been giants on whose shoulders they have been standing. And to redress the balance, let me present you with one of the oldest, the Glenturret. I'm here now at Glenturret Distillery with Lucy Armstrong, the development manager here. Thank you so much for seeing us.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to meet you.
Glenturret Distillery has actually been quite a big feature in your life.
Yes, definitely. I started here as a tour guide while I was at uni in Dundee and really never left, so enjoyed it so much. It's been really nice to do various different things within the industry and meet some fantastic people as well.
How long has the distillery been here?
A lot of people, particularly in the industry, will know us for being established originally in 1775, but interestingly, if you look at our new bottling, you'll see the date 1763. So as you'll know, this particular area, like a lot of areas in Scotland, was really a hive of activity for, shall we say, not always legal activities in making single malt, making whiskey, and we were certainly no stranger to that. So a couple of years ago, we embarked on a research project. We were really keen to actually find out a lot more about Glenturret. We really wanted to focus on the Glenturret story, now being Glenturret in its own right, and came across a hidden gem that we hadn't known about before. Now, the lands back in the 1700s were actually owned by the Murrays of Ochtertyre, a baronial family. And Sir Patrick Murray of Ochtertyre, he actually owned the distillery, and its original form, or one of the earliest times, it was known as the Turret or Turret Distillery. And we came across a rental document from 1763 which mentions the Turret Distillery. The reason we have changed now from 1775 to 1763, as this is now the earliest evidence we have of the distillery being actually in this location. It's really fascinating to look through old documents from kind of early 1800s and actually see all the distilleries that actually used to be in this location. You know, there's kind of 20 odd distilleries at one point in that real hive of whiskey production.
So the name Glenturret, I know that when I was getting my head around whiskey and there were all these sort of scary Gaelic names, there was Glenturret. I was like, okay, I think I got this one. A turret is a small tower, right?
Well, you would think that, but certainly you'll hopefully guess that Glen's coming from the beautiful big hills that we're surrounded in as we sit at the foot of Glenturret. And turret actually is derived from tured, hopefully I've pronounced it right, my Gaelic's not very good, but it actually translates to essentially mean little dry one, and it's actually to do with the loch turret as the loch shrinks in the summer. Which is actually where we have our water source from as well. And you can see part of the water source coming down past the distillery.
Quite fast.
You have, yeah, absolutely. And actually, Glenturret, the ancient Latin name for that is called Torra Glen. So it literally translates to land of the rushing stream. And when you're by the distillery, all you can hear is that water really rushing past. So it really is a key feature for us.
Yeah, and the little dry one sometimes unpredictably becoming the massive torrent.
Absolutely.
Glenturret is not a very large distillery, it's quite compact, but it feels that you've actually got it in a place where you guys very much like it how it is. Am I right in saying that?
There's plans to expand to a point, but certainly nothing absolutely major, so we're still a very small production, and that means that, you know, our spirit is very precious, and we only have a select volume to be able to share with the world. We would love to share more,
yeah.
but physically we can only produce so much. That just adds to the romance of what we do here.
So how different is the modern world for making whiskey in than maybe the methods that Glenturret used before?
Ultimately, at its heart, Glenturret is still a very, very traditional distillery and always will be. We really want to keep that part of our history alive, and so everything is very hands-on, and that really hasn't changed since the very, very early days. For us, it's really about honing skills, expertise, and really understanding why and how we do things now. So really it was quite a lot of happy accidents, and you know, I'm sure people would have been doing very similar things to how we are making whiskey now as they were then, but probably, you know, sticking a finger in a vat and kind of tasting it and kind of almost finger in the air stuff and saying, yeah, that feels about right temperatures. But now, for example, we can be really accurate on how we can control the temperature of the stills, and understanding how the spirit will evolve over the time. A lot of it's still such a natural process, and there'll be a huge amount still unknown and still being researched today. Also importantly for us, being as environmentally friendly as we can be as well, which is more and more prevalent and very important at the forefront of what we do.
How about the technical side of Glenturret? What's the equipment like that you use to make whiskey here?
We're very traditional, so certainly we don't have the guy sitting in another room elsewhere operating everything by computer. So everything is very much by hand, from the sample safe to cutting by eye to hand filling casks, to everything that we operate, even in mashing as well. So it really is a very special handmade process.
So down to brass tacks, Glenturret's whiskey. What style of whiskey do you make here? Is it a very typical Highland whiskey?
Traditionally, the Glenturret, for the new make spirit that we have here, it's quite light, quite fruity. It's almost got like a crisp apple note through it. It's really, really lovely. And when we put that into, of course, the cask, we get a huge amount of flavour developing through that. So actually, we have quite a variety of range of whiskies, and we also make Rude Moor spirit here as well, which is a peated style, heavily peated style of Glenturret. The range of flavours, if you like, although at its core it's quite a lovely light fruity new make, the whiskies that we are now creating, there really is everything from the spectrum, as you can imagine. So we have, for example, we've got a 10-year-old peat smoked version of Glenturret at the moment, which uses some of the Rude Moor spirit. We've got Triple Woods, which embraces some of those lovely kind of fruity characters and is a really nice introduction into the range. And then you've got whiskies such as the 12 or the 15, where you've got a bit more in the depth of the cask. So really what's lovely is that you can really enhance what you have at its core, and then really explore how the other elements of production will then influence that. So yes, there are definite elements of the Highland influence, but there's also a real kind of true unique spin that is Glenturret.
And the casks that you choose here, is there a particular kind of cask philosophy at Glenturret?
Casks are very, very important, and between our distillery manager and our whisky makers' expertise, that will ultimately come down to them, and they are very much hand-picked, and everything is very much hands-on, because the spirit is like their baby. You know, you're going to put it into the best arms that you can for the best length of time, and always look to improve and enhance what we have, and using the stocks that we have as well. So it's really important that we understand how the wood is influencing and how the time, and also the ABV. So even things like the alcohol volume, for example, on a couple of the ranges may change because actually it noses or it tastes better at a certain ABV. So it's all with the consumer in mind as well.
I love that, yeah, things are changing, not getting stuck in the mud. keep tweaking, keep iterating, make Glenturret the best it could be. So I noticed that there's a cabinet in this room with several local legends, famous people who have some connection to Crieff or even the distillery who fill the cask here. And there's also some cats in there. So what is it that makes cats a legend around Glenturret?
It's one particular mouser that we used to have at Glenturret that really started the legendary mousers that then followed as well. So Towser was probably our most infamous mouser, and she was born on the 21st of April 1963, and she was our mouser till she sadly died in March 1987. So she was almost 24 years when she died. And she holds the record for being the world's greatest mouser. So she caught over 28,899 mice in her lifetime. So she was pretty incredible at her job here. So really excelled. And it was amazing how much people loved her and admired her. She used to get fan mail, and she was also born in the Chinese Year of the Cat and died in the Chinese Year of the Cat as well, which is incredible. So very, very special cat. Very, very amazing tale. And we still have cats today. Glen and Turret are our two mousers now.
And Towser living to 24, I guess a combination of lovely clean air, exercise, and possibly a drop of Glenturret, water of life?
Yeah, legend has it that Towser used to get a little drop of Glenturret in her milk, and that's what led to her longevity, long life.
Lucy Armstrong, thank you for being so generous with your time this morning, and can't wait to be back.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, we look forward to welcoming you back when you do come and visit us again. Thank you very much.